Spoiler alert, I'm warning you guys right now. Spoilers! Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to Draw 2. My name's Ramny, and today I'm going to be talking about the Netflix Luke Cage TV series. So forgive me, you guys, I have just literally finished watching Luke Cage. I just turned off the TV just moments ago, and I didn't exactly binge watch all 13 episodes, but I did kind of try to watch as much as I can in this short span so that it's fresh in my head. And so I just turned on the camera right now so I can just ramble because I do have a lot of thoughts. So forgive me if this video goes on in a ramble a little bit, but that's just how it's going to be. I'm not going to be doing a lot of editing in this one. So let's get started. Okay, so Luke Cage. I'm not going to tell you guys the synopsis of it because I think you guys are already familiar with it. Especially if you guys watch my tutorials, you guys know that I'm a big comic book nerd, and I assume that a lot of you guys are, so you guys know who Luke Cage already is. He is based on like the 1970s blaxploitation type of era where they did a lot of these very stereotypical black type of characters. Luke Cage is definitely the biggest one, and Misty Knight was also part of that blaxploitation era. And it's actually really cool to see that they, through music, they look back to a lot of that. So you guys can hear it. And if you guys watch a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies, it does go back to this type of blaxploitation / kung fu era. So if you guys are familiar with Quentin Tarantino, you'll know a lot of the musical references in Luke Cage just because it's all about that feel. And that's what I love about Luke Cage. I think it's the most grounded out of all of the Netflix series. I love Daredevil, but ultimately Daredevil is still a guy in a costume. Jessica Jones was real. Like, it's pretty real, but to me, for some reason, Luke Cage felt the most real out of all of them. And I think it's because I grew up with a lot of friends from different, ethnicities, races, you could say. And I grew up in the hip hop culture. Hip hop and rap, R&B was the music that I grew up with. And so when you hear people like Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man, and you see, I'm trying to think of the other musicians. Raphael Sadiq was there. Biggie, there's references to Biggie Smalls and Faith Evans, Biggie's widow. They're all in this show, and it makes it real, it makes it grounded because it's sort of the stuff that I'm familiar with growing up, and that's what I like about Luke Cage. And between the 4 Netflix TV series that we have right now, I would say Daredevil is probably my favorite, still, and then probably Luke Cage, and then Daredevil season 2, and then Jessica Jones. And that's just my initial thoughts right now. But that's not to say that, I don't like Jessica Jones. I really like Jessica Jones. I just like the other 3 much better. Not so much I like them better, but I can relate to them more, and I'm more familiar with them. I wasn't too familiar with Jessica Jones, you guys, to be honest. So anyway, Luke Cage, when I was growing up in the comic books, he was known as Power Man. No, he was known as Power Man, but in the 90s he dropped that Power Man persona and just became Cage, or Luke Cage. And he became the stereotypical angry black man. And what I love about this show is they don't talk about him, or he's not an angry black man. The thing about Luke Cage is he's very calm, he's very, he's collected, and he is pretty much the opposite of the black man stereotype that a lot of mainstream media shows. And that's the other thing about this Luke Cage, in that there's a lot of things happening in the news right now, especially with the black community and a lot of police enforcement. And I mean, this cannot have come at a better time than now. I think from the interviews that I read, they made a lot of references to Luke Cage being in a hoodie, specifically because of things that happened. This one because of Trayvon Martin, which happened in Florida. So they did that to kind of take back all of the bad stuff that mainstream media is painting a lot of the people in the black community. So it's very socially conscious, and that's what I really like about it too. It's not just surface level stuff. And I'll be honest, you guys, I'm starting to like the Netflix cinematic universe, NCU, I guess you could call it. I'm starting to like it way more so than the MCU. I see the MCU as these grand, it's just grand spectacle, but the Netflix universe is so much more heartfelt because it hits close to home, and it's very real, and I really like the villains. And like, we had Wilson Fisk, who's very, he was very well thought out. Wilson Fisk was. Purple Man, he was very well thought out as well. And here you have a couple of villains, namely you have Cottonmouth, you have Black Mariah, but they don't call her that. They call her Mariah, Mariah Stokes, was it? And you have Diamondback. Now these 3 Out of the three of them, I liked Mariah the most. I think she had the most growth from like where she was at the beginning and where she was at the end. Think of it as like Godfather. If you guys see the movie Godfather, Mariah starts off not wanting to be part of the business, and then at the end of the movie, she is the queen of the business. And Diamondback, he's okay, but you know what? I think the problem that I have with Diamondback, he was a great villain, but I think the thing is with Luke Cage, I saw that it was all based on reality and nobody was wearing costumes. So I think on episode 12, he put on that costume and it just stood out, and it was kind of jarring. And I think that's the one thing I didn't like about it. I mean, I like the reference that it made because it kind of went back to what Diamondback looks like from the comic books, but it was jarring because nobody else at that point, nobody else was wearing a costume. So when he finally put it on, oh, I didn't really like it. I like it more better as like a dapper, nicely dressed guy. Anyway, and then there was Cornell Stokes, who is Cottonmouth. I actually have the Cottonmouth action figure, and he's nothing, of course, nothing like the comic book counterpart. But I like this version of him so much more because he's like, through flashbacks, you could see the growth in how he became the person that he is. So it gave him a lot of depth, and he's not just you know, like a one-dimensional gangster. He is, I mean, you could see from like the way that he plays music and the way that he appreciates music. This is a guy who had so much potential to be something else, to be someone good and someone famous, but because of influence from, you know, people growing up, the parent figures in his family, he becomes a bad guy. He becomes a gangster. And he doesn't even see himself as a bad guy. He just sees himself as a person who's trying to do good and take it. He's trying to do good in his community the way that he thinks it should be done. And you know, he's just this really conflicted character. And I was sad. Spoilers now. I was sad that he died in the middle of the series because I really liked. I think his name was Mahershala Ali. I really liked his portrayal of the character. So yeah, I was definitely sad when he died. But when he died, that was when I had no idea where this was going. I had no idea where Luke Cage was going to go after that, because I thought it was just going to be, you know, Cottonmouth versus Luke Cage for the entire series, which would have been really predictable. But when I saw that Mariah was starting to rise in her power, that was really exciting, and I really liked it because, number one, she is a black lady in power. And you don't see a lot of that. You don't see a lot of black women villains in the MCU or anywhere for that matter. So her being the most powerful person at the end of the show, I thought that was really cool. And seeing her growth from, you know, those flashbacks when she wanted nothing to do with the business and tried to go into politics, to how life turned out for her, it was just a really cool parallel. And speaking of powerful black women, Misty Knight. I was very excited for Misty Knight. I knew she was going to be on this show. I did not expect Misty Knight to be that girl in the beginning whom Luke Cage was talking to when he was wearing that really tight jacket in the bar. I actually did not know how Misty Knight was going to go into the story, and I did not expect Misty Knight to be that person that Luke Cage slept with in the first episode. But very exciting to see Misty Knight because I'm kind of a huge fan of hers as well. If you guys know, Misty Knight, she does have a bionic arm given to her by Tony Stark in the comic books, and there was a point in Luke Cage where she got shot in the arm and she was going to lose it, but Claire, the nurse, I think she did something to make sure that she wouldn't lose her arm, so they took care of that. But there's that nod to the comic books. Really exciting. Who knows? I know that she's going to show up in the Defenders, and we'll see how that goes with that character. I am very excited to see more of Misty Knight in the MCU. Definitely excited. Now, as far as Luke Cage goes, the character himself, I think Mike Coulter is the perfect embodiment of Luke Cage. He's such a cool guy. Like, he's got high morals. He's calm, he's well-read, he's educated, he's smart. You can tell that he does a lot of, excuse me, he thinks, you know, he's a thinker. He doesn't use his superpowers, although he's the most powerful guy, being really strong. That's not the first thing he resorts to. He thinks more. He thinks more before he, you know, brains before brawn is what I'm trying to say. And that's what I like about the Luke Cage character, especially in the Netflix series. He's not this fast-talking, angry black man. Although, I mean, if you look at flashbacks, he has a lot of reason to be angry. And yeah, his origin. Let's talk about his origin. It does reflect back to the comics. It's very accurate to the way it reflects the way things are in the comic books. And I really like, I think my favorite scene, and it made me laugh out loud, literally laugh out loud, when he escapes, and you guys know what I'm talking about, when he escapes out of that experiment and he swims that entire length of the river or ocean or whatever, and then finds a clothesline, and the only thing he can find, the only things he can find was like this bright yellow shirt and some chain that he uses for a belt and some blue jeans or something, and combined with his tiara and his like his what do you call them, these power bands that he has here, he looked exactly like what he looked like in the comic books, and it just made me laugh, especially his reaction when he saw himself when he saw himself in the mirror. I think, what did he say? He said, "I look like a damn fool," and that was just so funny because you know how ridiculous, it's so ridiculous. His costume back in the 70s and 80s is so ridiculous that if he tried to recreate it now, that's exactly what it would have looked like. And it's nice to see them take a nod at this and how ridiculous it was. It's one of the many things that I like about this show. Now, speaking of this show, I found that it kind of dragged a little bit in some parts. It could, like, I swear you could probably shave it down to maybe 10 or 11 episodes. There's a couple episodes there that I felt like you could take that away and it won't affect the storyline or anything. But there's some favorites of mine, like some episodes that are my favorites. The episode where they show Luke Cage's background, that was cool. His background as like the flashbacks to his time in Seagate prison. It's probably my favorite show, my favorite episode, I mean, and probably the one where the one where Cornell gets murdered by Mariah. That's another favorite of mine. And I think the one after that, like the shootout scene in the club, that was also one of my favorites. I like the first episode too. Overall, I thought it was really good. It was well done. Even the cameos, Method Man made a cameo. I thought that was really cool. A lot of the musicians, like I said, made cameos. Those were really cool. And I like how the music, like the thing with MCU movies is that you don't really focus on the music very much. We know the Avengers theme, but Thor doesn't really have a theme. Captain America kind of has a theme, but it's easy to forget. Of all the Netflix and MCU movies that Marvel's made, Luke Cage has the best music. And I'm probably biased because, like I said, I grew up with hip-hop and rap and R&B, but I find that I'm humming a lot to the music, and like I even downloaded it in iTunes, and I've been listening to it in the car. That's how much I like the music in this show. And I like that Cornell Stokes, Cottonmouth, they integrate music through his club and through the fact that he was a gifted musician who never got to see his potential. It's just, music plays a lot of, like, a huge part in the Luke Cage story, and I really like that. Anyway, that's me rambling. I really like Luke Cage. I am excited for The Defenders. I'm excited for a second season. At the end of it, there's a lot of like loose ends that need to be tied up, and you kind of see where it's gonna go. For one, Claire picks up a karate thing, like a little teach karate type of thing from Connie Wang, and you guys know Connie Wang, and Misty Knight especially, and Iron Fist are all interconnected. Number two, Luke Cage is going back to prison, and Claire says that she knows a really good lawyer, and we all know who that is going to be, right? They didn't mention any connection with Jessica Jones at the end. They did reference Jessica Jones many times, and the MCU many times, and Daredevil several times in the series. But my phone just rang. But yeah, at the end of it, even though I didn't think that the fight scene was it didn't feel as justified. Like I didn't feel as what's the word I'm trying to look for? Satisfied. I didn't feel as satisfied with the end fight scene. I am very excited at the setup that they had at the end of it. And that's it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings in this video. If you guys are curious about the equipment that I use to make my videos or to do my tutorials, I have links to those down in the description below. My question of the day, of course, what do you guys think of Luke Cage? Feel free to talk about spoilers, because that's what this video is all about, is all the spoilers. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of Luke Cage, the story, the series, the characters, anything. Let me know. I would love a discussion. If this is your first time here, I would love to have you guys subscribe. Here in this channel, I show you how to draw your favorite characters in easy to follow, step-by-step instructions, and on occasion I do reviews and ramblings like that, just like this video right here. So if you guys like what you see, head on over and hit that big red subscribe button right here. And if you guys did enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you liked it, comment it below, or share this video with your friends in social media. Speaking of social media, don't forget you guys can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and in my website, drawit2.com. Again, the links to all of those are down in the description. And as always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more so you can learn to draw it too. We'll see you in my next video. Sweet Christmas. If you guys are curious about the equipment that I use to make my videos or to draw my tutorials, I have links to those down in the comments below. If this is your first time here, I would love to have you guys subscribe. Stop that.